Hello. How's everybody doing? We have a new library to play with. Yay. That's always a good day. Especially it's one that I've been working on for a little while. So hello. Let's see here. Let's turn on this. Hi everybody. Welcome. Live stream time. So this is Eternal Flow. This is a kind of, it started as one type of library and then I decided to let it kind of expand because I wanted it to do more than, the pads are cool and I spent a lot of time designing unique pads that are not like any pads I've ever made before. I can't hear a lot of libraries where I've heard pads quite like this. But it really became kind of heavy with this like motiony, non-tempo, cool stuff. But I felt like I needed to like balance it. And so the artwork kind of shows that it's a balanced library. It was going heavy on the white side. And then we needed the percussion, some dark energy to, I'm watching Rings of Power on Amazon. So, you know, the rings are being made and it's interesting to see them attempt to go back and retell that part of this Lord of the Rings lore. There was hints of it in the Lord of the Rings series, the movies. But yeah, it's kind of like that. There has to be power. There's no ring to rule them all here, though. So it's just balancing. So this is a library. Let's see if I come over here and say thanks for the full screen view. That was fun. And I'm sorry, my nose is it's just a little bit sniffy today, so I apologize ahead of time for any sniffing. I don't do it as an on purpose thing, I promise you. Let me show you real quick. This video, I gotta log out, I think, so let's go over here. Is available. So I'm showing a new library that's available at my website, plugandguru.com. Here's the website, and if I have it too narrow, the contact goes down there. This new library, I just have the artwork because I really like this artwork. If you're curious, it's actually an AI image that was created, but it was put in a pool of water. So it took me literally like 4 hours of careful editing to get it to where it doesn't have any of the water. I just wanted it to have the really cool, actually, I think I have like the artwork here somewhere. Is it here? Yeah, check this out. Here's like the high version. But it was really tricky to get all the water out from in between the water drop. But it's just amazing. I wanted to have my artist in, I have someone in India, actually, that does a lot of artwork. He's helped on the last few libraries. And he was unavailable. So it was all up to me. So I did the artwork by myself. AI is very helpful for that type of a situation. I know we hear AI everywhere. It's in our refrigerators and our toaster ovens and stuff. Anyway, this is Eternal Flow. It is a 185 patch library. It has 59 different unique sample maps, many of them being instruments. And then there's also a whole bunch of percussion. Because as I said, I started with like, it's just gonna be all these really cool motion things. And so I made these things like these where you just play one note. And it just does this really cool evolving. And I found that you can, when you play chords, because I sampled it up and down the keyboard, it has a bit more. If it was just one, here we could do this, check this out. So if we were in Omnisphere, we could only have one of all of these samples. So let's say we were to take like C4 or G is a typical range, like G3 with just one sample. right? And then when you play it up with another keyboard, and down low, it plays that one sample really slow. So it's, instead of being just one sample, it's 20. Now, at any point, because this is a library that, just so I want to talk about this some, we're going to make some patches together. It's a community library, meaning when I released this, it automatically installed, if you look at your directory list, a bonus folder, all set up, so you don't have to set anything up. You can make patches, and a lot of these patches, it's really interesting to go into, like, say, one of the harps. Here's all the instruments in this library. It's a fairly decent, healthy list. But if you go something like to the, let's just go to the pluck harp, like the pure, or the chorus would be nice. So this is round robins on each note. And I got to change my patch a little bit. If this was just one sample instead of all of these samples, let's say like, let's say C3. It's a whole different vibe. Especially if you go down the octave, we're gonna, let's take down the effects just a little bit. I'm a little syrupy here because it was a nice pad. So this is what one sample across the keyboard gives you. It has to interpolate, speed up, and slow down the sample so it's the same recording. Let's play it up and down the keyboard. Now, compare this to the full map. If we go up here and we say all samples, down low, it's still got this really solid. Compare that to, if I can remember to play that again. Big difference. So you can, when making your own patches, explore through all of these. Some of these would be really interesting to set up as different sorts of, here's just one sample. This is all the samples. But if I say, oh, now some of these, I got tricky because some of these are a single sample. This is one of them, where it's not multi-sampled. Because I want different experiences with motion. So, now Dreamlog, this is a lot of samples. Because I want, when you play down low, that it had a sample there to give you all that accurate sync growling and stuff. Like if you take this and you say C3, and then you, does it slow down? It's not the same at all. It's very different. It's cool. But when you put it to all the samples, it's a whole different vibe. So this is a crazy fun library. It came out really, really cool. I did a video. It took forever to edit. And then in ScreenFlow, I was uploading it, and it takes it like an hour and 20 minutes on my spiffy, fast little Mac to upload to the point where it's supposed to start uploading to YouTube, and it would give me an error. And it did it 2 times. And then I searched online for what the error was, and it's because I hadn't lately updated and signed in to YouTube, so it was being refused. So I did it all over again. It was like 2:30 in the morning. I was so tired. So I went to sleep while it was uploading, and I was like, please upload. It did. I woke up at 6, just because it's in my mind. I would normally sleep in more, but I was up at 6 and sent out the newsletter, let you guys know it's here and so forth. So there is a video where I show I'm going to copy some of the things I showed in the video because I have stuff to show you about the library. This is kind of like the premiere in live form. So let me check chat real quick. I haven't seen what you guys are saying. Greetings to you all. It's good to see you all here. If you have any questions, yeah, both ways are good. Wow, it's a lot of work. This was a huge amount of work because even something like all these basses or the bells up here that are wonderful. I love how these turned out. This bass. The wood one is. This was made inside of Logic. There is a plugin. Let me call it up here really quick. I gotta get right here called Sculpture. And I made my own presets in Sculpture for these instruments. These were not based on any factory patches inside of. Do you hear that? Let me make sure. I've been reworking my audio. I gotta do this like that. Yeah, you hear. Okay, so here's Sculpture. A lot of the patches are saved in the song presets for the samples, but some are here. So like this bass. And as you change, you have to change other parameters. I made it for one and then I altered it, but you have the ability to change 3 different impulses. Did I save one of the bouncing here? Here's some of the noises. Oh, you know what it is? I'm hearing Unify too. So here, come over here and say, turn this down. Go back here. Now if I go to this bass, there. And there's other. You have the location of the pick. For the harmonics. So I worked all the parameters to make all the instruments in this library. So it's not based on presets per se. Come back over here. And these bells are lovely. And each one of these are multiple samples, so you can choose just one if you want. It's not bad, you know, one sample is a decent compromise to keep from being complex, but when you can add more samples, especially when you get down to the just makes it so nice. So it has all that kind of stuff. The bells were really fun. There's some nice came out really cool. The Woody bells, which are really cool to go into the sample start and skip it. You can put a little attack transient if you want. Make this really fast. Make it a custom shape. Yeah, of course, sorts of cool snappy things. You can do things where you go into the standard library to all the unique attack samples. Where did I put these? Did I put attack? Let's see. I did not. Well, they're in there as sample maps. So what you can do, you can always add a new layer and go into this list here. And if you go to Guru Sampler, I have these attack ups here. This is low pass filter or high pass filter. And then you open this and you have all of these attacks that came from Mega Magic bells and winds. So you can put those into the attack. The verb. you can replace the attacks in this type of a technique for new patches, for the community patches if you want. Then when we get to, I'll show you the perk in a second, but the pads go all over the place and they're really, really unique. I can show you an example. In the user library are these templates that I used. Here is, let's go to Freedom Bell. I can't remember which one I actually sampled for the final, but this is one example of what I did to create the motion. I'm using wave sequencing with a ARP into Polybox, playing 6 different layers of Vital. So it's alternating, right? And if we go to Eternal Flow, the pads, Evo Freedom Bell. So there's motion and development because it came from things I did inside of Unify. There's some other examples that get far more extreme and weird. These wave sequences are very abrupt. And then I would feed that through reverb and granular audio effects, other things to like blur it so that it would become where you'd hear elements of these. So when you come over here to the pads, to some of these, like, let's go up here to, here's Green Misty. You hear those little jump outs of jarring elements? That's because they were wave sequences that had non-contiguous samples. So you get all this high frequency, low dance. Isn't that cool? Isn't that fun? I mean, I gotta do stuff different. It's like the 90th library for me. So there's actually bass things that we play down here. It just becomes really, really, I mean, I get goosebumps when I play these still. I mean, and then the concept is there's all this cacophony of energy, right? And then the mod wheel is the filter. So you can control how much of that cacophony you let. And if you don't want the low end, I'll show you a cool trick. Noise box is here and it's doing distortion. Right, you bring up the mix. All of a sudden it's terribly distorted. Screaming. I mean, like crazy, right? Well, here's a cool trick. If you set it to just exponential and bring down the strength, and then bring down the drive, it's now basically able to be fairly normal. But the pre-filter and post-filter are still active. And I had this to a high-pass filter, so I can use this to cancel all that sub-energy. I put it about right there. Right? And then if you want to have fun, you can layer this with other pads. This has the motion and energy in it, right? Go over to the pads or strings. Let's get like string streams. String strings. Oh, wrong ones. Let's see here. Let's go to like dreamy. We want something dreamy. And then I'm gonna put a little filter, MIDI filter, so that modulation wheel is on the list of being blocked. Okay, oh wait, I said the wrong one. CC1, right, there we go. So this way I can use this still to control the brightness of the energy in the first layer, but the strings don't change. Get the right mix. It's kind of like, what the heck happened to your strings? And then if you need some low end, these violins, they don't have a lot of low end. So if you go to pad, let's add like Mellow Jaws 1B. And we'll just make sure it's nice and soft. And then tuck that in there. I think I made a bonus patch. So I'm gonna save this. This is how you, if you make a patch, this bonus library, I'm gonna be making patches for the bonus library too. So what you do is you go save, because I wanna save this. We need to give it a name. I'm not doing the Z's for the bonus patch, so just pad. There's Enter, I-N-T-E-R, Interstellar Activities. Or how about Interstellar Dreams? Because it's kind of dreamy. Okay, and it's John Lehmkuhl, but instead of this library, you go to the bonus library. This is why I made the library and set it up for you. All you have to do is do that, and now it will save it. Make a little comment. Made in the September 14th live stream. Let's all make live patches together. So I go save as, because it's a new patch, and save. And so now when I go over here to the bonus, there it is, along with the other two patches that are in the library to start with. The other two, there's a harp. This is really cool. And it's using FM Energize just for that high FM weird frequency. If you go to the full library, check this out. The FM Energize is one of the more kind of like startling pads I made. It's just an absolute wall of frequencies. And the reason I made it so like, oh my gosh, is because you can put all sorts of like, let's do saw down and just eighth notes, just to give you just, if rhythmically, those high frequencies cut up really nicely. Let's make this a double, so we double click, double click, double click. If you hold down shift, it makes it so that it snaps timing. And let's take it to like halftime. I think we have another bonus patch in the works. And I want this to be doubled too. So double click, double click, double click. And no effects. And I want to play like a synth. So we take off this, we take off the release. Let's have it start a little later in. So that's a little cool dance kind of thing. So now the percussion, I'll show you more details. I've got all the instruments here to show you. I did 10 different percussion instruments for the other half of the library. I'm just going to go in and let's say this is almost a shuffle. And it just so happens I did a couple grooves where I put it into a jack swing shuffle. I think this might be one. Well, that's the talking drum. We want to go tambourine, big. And if we go here to the knobs, you can spin through here. There we go. Let's half time it. And then I want to kick. So I'm going to go over here to the standard library BPM kick. We have all these cool kicks and say add a kick, just the instrument. And I have to double click here to make sure that I don't do note chorus. And let's get an up hi-hat. So go BPM hat, upbeat 909. And also that's right. Now I don't want the tambourine to sound like a tambourine, so I'm gonna put a ring mod on this really quick. So let's go modulation, ring mod. There we go. And put delay. And no feedback, and I want to go triplets. And we'll just be eighth. And a little bit off in the delay. So it's still stereo. Well, that's the start. I'm going to keep working on it after the live stream. I'm going to go save this to the bonus BPM pad. I just don't want to, I could get bogged and be a whole programming session. Pad, work in progress. So this will be in the bonus library with a cool name when I'm done with it. But I might make some custom MIDI files for it. By the way, if you open up the bonus library and you say reveal in Finder and you go up one notch, you'll see that I have a MIDI files and a media folder. So you can add images, you can add MIDI files. I'm open to adding samples if you want, but you have to make a samples folder here. It has to be named samples. Make sure that you name this plug in Guru Eternal Flow Bonus, right? Give it that name. And then inside here will be a samples folder, and that's where you put the samples. And right here is where you put the SFC files for the samples. So you can add your own samples to the bonus library. Just please make it uniform so that it works. Otherwise, I have to edit your sample maps, and I'm not so sure I'm going to do that. So, in fact, maybe I will give you guys this bonus library folder with this structure so that we know that it works, right? Okay, so let's play around for the rest of the live stream, and then I will zip this and give it to you before the end. It'll be a link in the video description for that. So that way everybody has a samples folder that's the same if you guys want to make patches. But the idea behind the bonus folder is just for us all to have fun making, it's school time, kids are back to school. If you want, make some patches, send them to us by October 1st. Taylor and myself will put it all together and give it to everybody as a free bonus community library. We've done this with labs. We did it a couple years ago when we did the collective, the Blood and Guru collective. You guys actually sent samples in and we put this whole thing together. We might do that again later this year. We'll see. I don't know. It's a lot of work to organize, but we're doing it for Eternal Flow. I like to do these. I like to get you guys involved. I'm all about showing how to program. And so it's a chance to be involved and get into it. John's into this. Hello. So I'll talk about tambourines, skin or skinless, for a second. I have other tambourines that have a head, and Daniela made a point on my video to point out that I didn't include, there has to be something wrong with the library no matter what, right? So yeah, I didn't include no, you can't turn this into you have to put the head on. It has to be, usually the leather is wet to start, and then they staple it in and it dries and tightens. So you have to buy a tambourine and sample it that has a head on it. So no, you can't change it. You can change the character of the tambourine with like ring modulation like I did and stuff to get different tones out of it, but you won't get the slap. The thing with the head, the reason for the slap is the snap and finger activity. So just get one and sample it. It's not that hard to sample instruments. All you do is you sit there and you play it. And that kind of stuff, right? My microphone's all tweaked for my voice to make it sound lovely. So it's not so good. It's not like neutral right now. So if you go to Eternal Flow, I did 10 different instruments that I decided it'd be fun to add percussion to this, because as you will see, let's start with interesting. Check like maybe the India library from Native Instruments. Well, you don't like Native Instruments, I think. But I think my friend did some head tambourines for India because they would use that more for the timing things they do. But check this out. We're going to talk about rhythm for a second. So you have something like this. It's got motion, but it's not tempo based. But you almost feel like it is. So I thought it'd be important to add other things to it. So there's like African shells. Just adding that all by itself. You have tempos defined now. And in the, let's do this. Let me slow this down a little bit. So let's go over here to tempo, maybe like 85. If we add like the Korg Guiro, I have all these where it's, when you're playing a Guiro, you can strike it, right? But you can also tap it. And I have so I did all sorts of really cool sounds in the grooves for this. If you go over here to the macro knobs, you can and if you turn this off, you can play. There's, I think, 80 samples of Guiro. So you can easily make a MIDI file where you, like, I'm going to be making a lot more MIDI files for the bonus library of these instruments, because each one of these instruments you go to, I sample them fairly deeply. Go to the double shaker. It's almost the entire keyboard. It's like probably about 40 samples. let's see here. Daniel, let's not talk about tambourine anymore, okay? I know what you're talking about. Yes. But I can't help you there. I don't know what to suggest. So let's get back to the Guiro for the groove and turn back on the MIDI file and change that groove. So now when you put that with the groove, yeah, it's not that hard to sample a tambourine. And as Tim says, tambourines are not that expensive. So if you want to, you can record your own, and it will be probably sufficient for what you need. You just set up your microphones, single hits. You don't do patterns unless you're going to be chopping it up later. The idea is to have separate hits. When I'm doing, for tambourines, you want to have the back and forth. So you do them slow. So I go. And then the hit, right? So that way, each one of those can be separate samples, so then you can sequence it to make it how you want it to work. Let's keep adding some more groove elements. Let's add the rain stick is this dude right here. It can do both rain stick, but I love the rain stick because it's like the biggest shaker on the planet, because it's just this huge amount of energy. So it came out really cool. Go over here and say, add that. Oh, Nebula, thank you, bro. So all these percussion things are there to help balance these pads that get into the kind of crazy land, right? So you can build around this and you sound like Odessa in about 10 seconds, you know? Just have some cool singers singing sample. You got splice, you know, and big drum groove, and off you go. So now let's make this a bonus patch, because we're halfway there already, right? So let's solo the pad and let's turn this into something rhythmic. So the LFO, it's just one LFO, but boy is it cool. You can do some cool stuff. So let's get this to be dark. And then I'm gonna set it to unilateral, which means it only is going up. It's not going up and down. Set to notes, and let's set to custom waveforms so that I can go in here to the presets. And because I own Rad Waves, I've got all these really cool, more complex patterns that I made to start with. And it's too fast right now because the rate is now I want to accent the timing, so I'm going to stick an EQ on here. Unify standard EQ, flex EQ. Right? And before we add the rhythm, let's add another pad. Let's do like, I want something kind of cool and mellow, like Dark Melancholy. So let's add that. And let's see how they work together. Let's have this do a different rhythm. So say notes, shorter notes, custom shape. That's cool. And on top of this, let's just bring this down. Give the EG some energy to fade up and fade back down so we can... Cool. And add everybody else. Listen to the delay line on auxiliary bus 2 is delay. I'll do a little preventative. I want MIDI filters on all the percussion so that it ignores the mod wheel. I don't want it to, in fact, this is kind of fun. So I'm going to go filter, close, and filter, close. If you hold down Control and Shift, Siri wants to talk to me, and let's copy from this first MIDI filter and then hold down Shift and click. So I just copied and pasted so it made it identical. So now I can have the mod wheel. Let's see what it's doing. I'm going to turn these off. And I instead want this Guru sampler to open the filter. When it opens up all the way, it kills the pulsing because it's now above the addition and subtraction of the filtering. And I want to do the same thing here. So I can go from rhythm. Right? So that's like a really cool thing for a song to have. That's really fun. What should we call this? Oh, there's one more thing I want to do. You know how I have this serious high-end EQ? I've noticed it gets way too bright when the filter opens up. Go away, Siri. Siri's listening. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to open up the EQ, and I'm going to hit my little Guru ear and touch this. So as you can see, that's where it's at. So let's go like this. I want to reverse this and bring this down to 8.9 because that's where it is currently at. And now let's go like this. So as I bring up the mod wheel, I don't want it to go negative though. It's currently going to the negatives. So let's say just bring it down a little bit. So now, watch this knob. Just comes down some. Now, I could also maybe want the percussion to go away. And I wanted to do it in real time. We have so many ways to turn things on and off. I want them to get softer. So let's open back this and let's say currently do it this way. So we'll say, give me the volume of the shaker mix level and of the Guiro mix level and one more for the rain stick mix level. And I set this to max, so that was my bad. But you can see where the mix is at about right here, about right here, about right here. So I'm going to just bring these down to approximates, and then I'm going to hit the little reverse. So it reverses them. So now when the mod wheel is down, they're full. So I bring the mod wheel up. Bring the mod wheel back down. Start to hear the percussion. Start to get a little rhythmic energy. Then when you're ready, chord progression. Right? So, yeah, dropping out the percussion is fun. So, okay, so what should we call this? Breathalyzer. So who talks a lot? It seems. Yeah, no, this isn't. Now, Interstellar Activity was a different one we did. We could combine the two. Let's see what it sounds like if we combine. This is the beautiful thing with Unify, is any patch can be added. So let's say Work in Progress was that groove one. Let me see what that sounds like just for a second, just for fun. Yeah, that timing's off. But I could fix that if I wanted to. Let's go to Energize to the Pump House, and let's get rid of this and this. Hold down Shift so that it's... Not bad, but I'm not going to do that. So let's delete the Work in Progress. We could add Interstellar Dreams. That's kind of cool, but you can do that on your own easy enough. Anyway, this is cool. Only thing I see that I want to change, I hear that, is it this? No, that starts and it's right there. I think it's this one. Here it kind of slowly fades in. I kind of want it to be more direct. So let's get rid of the fade in on the amp envelope and have it sample start a little bit later in. And a little bit less release so it can be a little bit more modern. You know, you can make all sorts of really cool, big, attacky, big... Put that in your layers with some other serum unison patches and stuff. And okay, so it's still a little bit long on the release, a little bit shorter. So go like that, like that. There. I still have the filter fade in and out, but I just wanted to play where it's like there right at the start. More poppy. Let's get rid of the release of the reverb, make that a little bit shorter. And this guy here is ringing out forever, so. And then I'm gonna put one little God control knob. I got to put on the third page. Yeah, so we get rid of these guys and say percussion on and off. On, off. Because in something like this, you would typically use just the synths on one layer and then the percussion on another. So here's how you can turn them on and off. So we'll go over here and we go to instrument shaker. MIDI enable is the magic selector. So we say to gourd, MIDI enable, and to the rain stick, MIDI enable. So now when this is down, they're off. And then when you're ready for the percussion to come on, that's cool. So when the mod wheel's up, it's more of a stabby synth instead of the pad. Right? You'd need to, like, if we wanted to, like, let's do it. Let's gotta do it. Let's say empty layer. For a second, what I would do, I would say serum, which we can't make patches with serum in it, but we could with Vital. Actually, we could with Vital because Vital's a free synth. Everybody can get it. So maybe we can add Vital because let's say we do the adding of the VST3 version of Vital. That's all we need. I'd probably add more to it in the end, but so let's have this dark to start. So we'll turn on the filter. Now let's do this. Let's have it soft. Then, Mod Wheel 1, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff to CC1. So what I wanted to do, I'm going to have it, let's go current volume currently, so we get mix level, and reverse that so that that's the starting point, and then we're going to have it get a little bit louder, like to there. And at the same time, inside of Vital, watch this. You go over here to your little guru ear, and I move this, and boom. There it is. Filter cutoff shows up in my list. And once again, here, see, now that that's done that, I want to reverse it so that it starts here. And now I can bring this up so that I can have, so it's dark and soft. So I bring up the mod wheel. Now, when we're like this, we need to do a little bit more. Let's get, go to the effects. You got to turn on, where is his OTT compressor? And just a little bit of that. And some reverb. A little bit more mix. There. So now we have, so it's nice and dark and rhythmic-y. So you can get between them. So let's say this, we can use Vital because we need to get to unison polyphonic, and we don't have the synths inside of Unify. We don't have a unison polyphonic option. So you can use Vital for the bonus patches, but please use the VST3 version. VST2 kind of is a lost plugin format. Steinberg is trying to get rid of it. A lot of plugins don't even include VST2 anymore. A lot of new developers, if you're new to making synth plugins, Steinberg won't even give you VST2 license. It's only VST3. And companies that make VST2 and VST3, they are pressuring them to no longer release VST2. So, unfortunately, we jumped on the VST2 bandwagon for a long time. But, let's see, what are you guys talking about? How do we hear guitar playing? Yeah. Yes. Tim, it's really cool. I'll be in touch about what you're doing. So what should we call this? It's a little loud. I'm hitting red. So I'm going to hold down Option Alt. Bring everything down a little bit so when I'm... But I have to fix this on my macro knob for the max volume of Vital. That needs to be down just a little bit at max, just a little bit. I don't want to be. And the percussion is also, they're a little bit too loud now when we're here, so bring these each down by like 3 or 4 dB. Because if we do sign something to the macro knobs, it doesn't get taken into account if you like do the global volume change, so I have to balance it too. Stefan, thank you. That's a very nice problem to have. I'm very happy. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm happy to hear that. Yes, clap is coming, so that's... So what should we call this? It kind of does a cool transformation in. Maybe a little more EQ, just to get that to, it needs to have just a little bit more right in here. Shuffle off stage. Did you guys see the, there's this video going rampant of Stone Temple Pilots playing, and the singer and the guitar player get into a bit of a squabble. It's a scuffle on stage. You will need live, if now here's the thing, and this is that quandary. If we do patches that require Vital like this, then if you don't have Vital, this will show up in red and you won't hear it. So that's, I mean, it's cool to have Vital to do what it's doing, right? I mean, that... This is such a standard sound. You don't need it for the full library. This would be something in the bonus library. The full library is 100% Unify. These are patches that we were making for what's going to go into this bonus library. And since we have other libraries that Bob Dedis has made for Vital, there's another library I'm in the works of working on for Vital. So because it's free, it's kind of a no-brainer to just install. It's a wonderful synthesizer. If you can pay $25 or $80, you get more patches, and you are given Matt Teitel, the developer, some incentive to continue to develop it. He's been kind of quiet lately, so I'm not sure what's there, but Metamorphic Strider. There you go. Andy, you nailed it. I'll take it. Okay, so this is a BPM pad. Metamorphic Strider. And let's say V. Let's just put a V like that if it needs Vital. If you make patches that use Vital, and then save this to the bonus library. Save as. Save. So that will be there. There's Strider showing up. There used to be a really cool video game for, what was it, the PlayStation? It had Strider as a character. All sorts of fun experimental things with timing, rhythm, pads can be played with. It's really cool. So, okay. Anyway, let me finish showing the library. So, as I showed you, you've got, as we built these percussion elements, they're also available right down here as, right here, 10 different instruments. So the Korg Guiro, I showed you, I've had this for probably 10 years. You can do that. And so if you call this up, and what you can do that's interesting, and I did when I made the MIDI files, you can like sequence the basic pattern with like find 3 sounds. Right? And then you go back and you edit the notes, and that note at different places in the sequence, find another sample that's similar. Excuse me. That's similar. So you can find 2 or 3 other samples that you can mix between. And that way, when you do the patterns, if you go up here to the Korg Guiro, even to the standard ones, I change samples around so that for pop, I kept it the same. Here's different samples. You know, it kind of stands out when you play it solo. But once you put this with like shakers, let's add 2 shakers and pan them left and right. And let's add a tambourine. Let's add the tiny tambourine. Now you don't notice it being like a sequence, but you just notice it's different all the time. So it makes it so you can have really musical you just see someone back there playing away on their Korg Guiro, you know? So I did the Guiro. The Japanese kokoriko is this really cool instrument. That's all it basically does. I did some short ones and stuff with that. So I tapped it and so forth like that. The African shells is these guys, which I love. And so here are the samples. And I made it so that it kind of has, when you play the downbeat, it kind of feels like a timing for a lot of the samples. So you can get some variety, but it still has a timing. The black shaker, that's this little egg, little tiny guy, and right. The shaker double is a dual canister shaker, and I have it held together with vegetable plastic bag ties, but it has two canisters, so it makes just this wonderful. And the samples go up to F sharp. So from here to here are all samples. There are shakes. Like that. This one here, I didn't do double shakes, but the egg I did. And if you go to the release, amp release short, you can get it to be a short release. Now, like, I should have saved this short, but here, I'm going to show you a tip. Say you want to update one of the patches in one of your libraries so that you always call it up. Every time you call it up, you have to change something in it. Like this. Every time I call this up, the release is here, and it should be about here. Right? So here's what you can do. This is a trick Shane taught me. All you have to do is right-click, say delete this patch, and that will delete it from the library. But we still have it in memory, so you just go save, save as, save, and now it's back. It's now a .unify file instead of a .upf, but it's in a format where it's been saved with release. Right? So that's one thing that can maybe save you if in these libraries, you go to it and you try to hit save and it goes update and it says you can't save over it because it's a UPF file. If you right click and delete it, that deletes it from the library, but you can only delete if you have it loaded into Unify in the first place. So you have to first load something. If you go up here and right click, you'll see delete is blacked out. You have to load the patch before you can delete it. But by deleting it and then going to save and save as, you can update it with a reset. So if you don't want the reverb to be a set way, you don't want the release on a sound, you want it to be different in any setting that you want to set, and you want to call up every time that way, that's how you can set it up to call back. Let's keep going on the percussion. The rain stick. And I recorded these in stereo, and it varies a little bit in the stereo imaging a little bit, but when you play it in the sequence, when you have a pattern going and stuff, that kind of helps make it seem even more like in front of you and alive. Right? So it's all over the place a little bit. The talking drum is this dude right here, which you play right here. You can slide up in pitch and which samples are too soft? If the samples are soft, you can go to Guru Sampler and turn up the gain if the filter is being used. Another way to add gain is to add inside of Unify Standards libraries to dynamics, there's a stereo gain, which is able to be linked and can add up to 12 dB of added fidelity, volume, and so forth to it. You also have volume here. You also have volume on the enforcer. The gain right here is 24 dB you can add. So there's a lot of places to add gain if you want. Just make sure you don't go over into the red, because a lot of these sounds have pretty intense frequency content. And, you know, everything at some point, something in the sample map hits max, because that's where I map it and set the volumes to. If you turn this up too loud, you hear it squashing a little bit when it hits the maximum volume. It's compressed and probably distorting a little bit, but it still sounds pretty good. So there's 3 different tambourines and the tiny. So here they go. Tambourine 1 is L, more bigger size, and I have bigger ones than this, but that's the one I wanted to use. Then I'm going to use a smaller little plastic with little, I think there's a little steel, I think, for the, and then the tiny is a little half a tambourine with a stick. So you play and you get more short, like that. And yeah, so that's the percussion. And then each one of the percussion instruments, I aimed at 10. Like the Cocorico, I couldn't come up with 10 patterns, so I came up with 8. Other ones, like some of the shakers, I made 11 because there was like a, and then what's really fun is just set Unify. If you just do this, go BPM perk. So it's showing just the list, and hit the fuzzy dice while this is set to Unify layer 2, 3, 4. Let it make patterns for you. A shaker is silent. Let me see here. So let's see. We go Unify normal. It's not silent. It's a smaller sound in the fidelity frequency range, but there's a lot of high-end. Shakers typically don't have to be that loud. Once you put them in with other instruments, their fidelities cuts through because it's more high frequency energy. You hear it there in the mix. So I set the volumes of these to kind of be like how it'd be in the mix that you'd want. Right? So it shouldn't be silent. If it's silent, I don't know what to tell you, because that's, if we go, so here's perk normal. If we go egg, that's pretty decent volume. I don't know. Anyway, so the other thing I want to show you guys today that came out that works nicely with this library, Crow Hills has a new electric piano, which is kind of a Frankenstein electric piano. So let's do this. Let's call up a cool pad. This might be work. Nice. So let's filter it. And maybe we want to do our trick with noise box, where we bring down the distortion, bring down the drive. Now we can use this to EQ it a little bit to get rid of the low end. Now, on top of this, let's add another layer. And I don't know why, but they gave it the name Filth for the Imperial electric piano. So this is a 29 UK pound electric piano. can hear it kind of sounds like it's layers. I think he sampled them all and then just recorded, like, set the volumes inside of Logic for the different samples up the keyboard, because he kept like certain qualities. There's 3 different electric pianos. You can click here to choose between, and then there's Imperial Vintage, which is the more mellow of the 3. So you have this nice electric piano, 3 of them, and the Vintage is more like a real Rhodes. And unlike most libraries, when you hit really hard, it doesn't get to really unused, like Universal Audio and Arturia's. When you hit really hard, their electric pianos, they have just unflattering characteristics. This doesn't do that, so. And then you have wobble. And it's tempo based, so if you set it to like quarter notes. Or eighth notes might be nice. Then there's also, he likes this, Christian was talking about, there's a sound that Joe Zonal used to get for his electric piano where he used like a flanger. And it kind of speaks a little here. If you go to like the Imperial Electric, you can see where he's added other samples that make it. And then this filth knob with Japanese characters on it. So if you want, you can make it really filthy. And then there's these presets that change the effect settings. And actually, I didn't think it changed, but it does change what piano it's. I thought that they were separate, but they're not. So if you want to change this, you can cycle between the different 3 pianos. They should have made it buttons. I've talked to Shane a lot about this because I'm not a fan of pull downs like this versus just having 3 buttons to choose from. Because every time you have to go up here, click, drag, look to make sure you're hovering over the right one, click again, versus just a click. I mean, if it's got 3 different pianos, it should be just 3 buttons to change. Anyway, it's nice, and let's put it into the layer so you can hear how a piano sounds with our interesting pads. Now I'm distorting because of noise box a little bit. Let's turn that back down and turn our gain up here. And I wanted to speak a little faster, so I probably would move the sample start. And then adjust the sample attack. There we go. I like that. And this piano's kind of soft anyhow, so let's crank it all the way up. And it's got set on some cache in the attic, so it's doing something weird with wobble at 64th. So it's nice. Now, if you do use this, the mod wheel is attached to the wobble, but it's also changing our filter. And if you don't want it to do that, go to the layer that you don't want it to respond to, click the little yellow circle and go to Utility, Filter. Down here to MIDI CC, click and choose, actually not 0, but 1, because we want modulation wheel. That way it doesn't change, but we can change the filtering on the pad. Other things that make pads nice when you're using them is to set it to like fade down to like 30%, a little bit faster time. So it's more organic and breathing. Right? It's there and then it goes away. It's very nice to do that. And Unify has electric pianos in it too as well. So if we want to make this a super one, let's go to key, which is way down here because there's so many patches. Good grief. Key, let's go to, there's a number of these that I think are really lovely to play with. Let's do the Dreamy Roads. Probably turn this down a little bit because it's going to be loud. Each other nicely. And then we have also the Unified TX816. Let's go up here to the electric piano that's here, which is just incredible. Let's try number 6 to start. Let's have a little reverb on this. So it hits the tines into reverb, which is nice. I'm going to take the whole thing down 1 octave. So I'm going to hold down the Option, click each one of these, because I want to get to 16 feet on my 5-octave keyboard. So I'm going to play that. You guys want this as a bonus patch? It's pretty special. Now, to play this patch, you'll need to have both the new library and you'll need to have this new plugin from Crow Hill. But if you don't have the Crow Hill, let's mute it. It still is nice. So when you get this, if you want, just go to the Crow Hill layer and say, delete if you don't have this plugin, and then just go to save and hit update, and it will update the patch. And then, but you still will need to use, because this pad's coming from Eternal Flow. And if you don't have both of those, mute both of these, and you still have a nice piano. Okay, so let's get this unmuted, save. I don't like the name filth. That's not my favorite kind of language. Key, Dreamy Imperial. And it uses Eternal Flow and Imperial Piano. I think it's what he calls it, right? Imperial Electric Piano, IEP. And let's save this to the user library. So it'll show up there, and you can point it somewhere else if you want. Save as save. And then all I have to do is here go libraries. Oh, that name already exists, of course. So let's say over here. Here's our libraries folder, and we need to get, hello, give me a folder so I can get to Unify. We'll get to the user library to put into here. And we don't need these. And in the patches, we'll only put in that one. So we go select all these. Okay, so where did I put libraries? It's right here. So I need to compress this. And this is the Key Dreamy Imperial bonus dot guru. If you take a zip file and you add guru to the end of the name, then when you put it over Unify, it's going to say, hey, do you want to install this into Unify? If you say yes, it will add this patch. It will show up inside of the user library right here. So you can call it up and play. Okay, so let's do this. I need to go to my Dropbox folder and put this into somewhere. Let's see over here. There's our Plugin Guru freebies. I'll put it right here. This is the Crow Hill open, put this here, copy the link, and here, unusable. Okay, well, if it's not unusable, if it's not usable to you, that's totally fine. Sounds are subjective. So let's see, Crow Hill Imperial EP and Flow. Please don't do that. Imperial Flow bonus patch. There, it's in the video description as well. All right. Any questions? Oh, I wasn't committing any preset. Okay. I see. You're talking about something else with, I'm sure with DaVinci. Daniela, you never can be quiet, can you? All right, everybody. Let's do our shout outs. And if you have questions, you can email us at unifysupport@pluginguru.com. We're happy to oh, good. Yeah, this piano came out nice. FM is just such a great... And again, the mod wheel. You can add just a little bit. And if you want to make it even more interesting, go to the Guru sampler and change it to be sample start randomized. Maximum if you want, because this way, now it shouldn't be, like it's kind of, you're hearing that echo of the high frequencies. You won't notice that this time. It's because playing in different places each time you play new notes. That's nice. And also what's fun with this, open up Guru Sampler and you can go through all of these different pads. There's 25 different pads. I didn't even show you some of my favorites. Check this out. There's a couple others that are really cool. In pad down here, these libraries do just grow so quickly. I love these guys here, the Bouncing Spirits. This is another one made with sculpture, where it's randomized bouncing. And again, filter it. And it just becomes something that has energy that's not just a static pad. So for this library, it's really important to use the mod wheel to find how much energy you want in your track, in your production. That's kind of the magic sauce. Is really cool. Lots of motion that when you filter, you still have the energy of that motion, but maybe not with the high frequencies and stuff. So bring the mod wheel up and you find just the right place. And there's steel. And wood. Which all give you this really cool energy. Cool. Oh, thank you, Nebula. I love making sounds. It's what I've chosen to do for my life. So I'll just keep enjoying making, and I'm glad you're enjoying. It's a good relationship. Appreciate you. Thank you. And again, these can be used in other ways too. If you take the attack to be fast, to be released, and the samples start to be into the sample, you now have, minus the reverb, then go to page 2, add some distortion. Have it only distort the higher frequency so it just hits the blah, 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 blah. You know, you can get all sorts of really, really cool other sounds. So, hey, another bonus patch. So I'll work on that after the live stream. Oh. Rob, no worries, man. Thank you. I see the shout outs. Let's see. We've got Cologne. Yes, Eternal Flow is on sale. It's at the website for $30 off. From France. Yves, so good to see you. I love it. I didn't try the new labs. I'm afraid to add it. I still like the old labs. I'm kind of lamenting that they've changed it so much. So yeah, it's still sitting here, the installer. Where is it? Right here. Just sitting here waiting to be installed. Haven't installed it. Probably not this week. So just so you know, and thank you to all of you joining from around the world. I appreciate all of you. It's just the best. But I'm leaving by flying from where I live here in Eagle, Idaho, to Portland on Tuesday. This house that I'm renting actually has a third garage, which is just really sweet. And it's empty. And I have a storage space, a 10 by 20 space in Portland, where I have synthesizers that are from my early voicing projects, my old prototypes of those synths and stuff, a ton of stuff in there. They're raising my rent by $115 in October 1st. So makes sense to go bring it back here. So I'm going to Portland. If you're in Portland, I'm going to send an email to unifysupport@plugandguru.com. I'm going to have a little dinner at my favorite restaurant, Fire in the Mountain. And you can come. Let me know that you're coming if you're going to make it. And load up a U-Haul and drive all my storage stuff here. So I got a big weekend in front of me. Should be fun. But I had to get this library out before I left. So it all has worked out just according to my plan. So I'm so happy. Anyway, thank you to all of you that have joined. I did the mistake. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm afraid to update. It's like, all the knobs still work. Okay. Okay. That's good to know that. Okay. At least I guess it just looks uglier, I guess. And they try to get you to buy. Kasaka-san, good to see you in Japan. Appreciate all of you guys. All right. So I am going to say thank you for your support. I hope this inspires you guys all. It was fun to think of something, I'm always trying to go outside of the box because, I did Mega Magic pads like 8 years ago. So that's like someday I'll do another like straight just pads, but it's really fun to go like, well, what if I do pads that do this, This and Magic Motion works so well together, by the way. If you put them together, it's just like crazy, crazy cool. All right. Thank you for your support. And we will be seeing you. I'll be back by next week. So next week will be like, I can tell you fun stories of moving a 25-foot U-Haul of stuff to Idaho. All right. Cheers to you all. Have an inspiring week. And thank you again. All right. Bye. See you later.